don't know how we've got in the position, but we are currently down to 1 bedroom. This used to be our boys' room, and we would like to renovate it into an office. And we're stripping it right back. We're going to be changing almost everything. This room has electrics from the 1970s. The whole house needs a rewire, and we've been in the process of doing that over the last few years, slowly moving it. Everything is coming out, including the floors. I might try to reuse these floors in the workshop. I'm not sure. There are other rooms in the house that also have this parquet flooring, which we could try and use somewhere else, but it's quite weathered, and you can see some moisture that it's kind of seeped in between the cracks, and I wouldn't use it in any of the main living rooms anymore. It'd be good just to freshen it up. And that's a huge reason for doing this is before us there was a big family that lived here, and so in a way, in order to make things how you want them, it does require kind of starting again. And I was going to keep this matting, but it kind of really smelt, and old houses hold the smells of all the previous owners, and yeah, this was a good way for the flooring to also breathe and just get some air. So I'll probably just put a new kind of mat down underneath the flooring. So these are the rails, and I bought some a few years ago and held on to them because I knew I'd be building walls at some point. And I've also reused a lot, so I've kept ones from walls that I've ripped out, which you may have seen in previous films, because you can, as long as they're not too bent, you can reuse them in some way. This is quite a popular way of building walls using these metal railings. You have ones that go along the floor, and the same goes along the ceiling. You just cut it to size using some tin snips. So I watched a few videos on how to install this, and it's quite easy to put along the floor. Drilling it along with glue is probably the best way to do this. Now, I haven't shown adding the glue. It's kind of an adhesive flexi glue. I'm not too sure what it's called, but I applied that to the bottom. Then I drilled some holes about 50 centimeters apart, and then you just hammer in these kind of plug type screws, which are very popular in France. And yeah, I did the same for the ceiling, but slightly different, because there was no beam or any wood to drill into. What I did was I created some holes in the ceiling with the drill. I then put the plugs in, and I also made holes in the metal strip that goes along there, and then I was able to mark the holes and screw that in. I don't know if this is the best process, but I did find someone else who did, a Frenchman, who did this process in his own house on this same brick. Now this is like a terracotta brick that's not very good at holding things with nails, and so you have to be a little bit careful, especially if you don't hold the rail there. But once I put it back in place and I grabbed the drill, I was able to then line up the holes with the metal rail, with the plugs that I put in the ceiling, and screw that into place. And hopefully the combination of the adhesive and the screws will do the job. It's very easy to get distracted when doing renovation. It doesn't come easy, so yeah, I had to put some tunes on to get myself going. So the spacing between each of these uprights needs to be 60 centimeters in order to put in some insulation. Now this is just going to be on this wall, it's just going to be sound insulation, and once they're in place you can just crimp them at the top and the bottom, make sure they are level. And what I also did was I doubled up the railings, which you don't have to do, but because of the situation drilling into the ceiling like that, I wanted to secure it better. So I drilled 2 bits together. I then did the other side, but you can see I also did against the window here. This was just laid out at this point. The next day it only took me about an hour or so to get the top and bottom rails in and get the uprights in, and I found a much quicker process of just the bit that I cut off of the upright, measured it onto the new bit, and I'd have the exact measurement for the upright. So along these 2 walls it's just going to be a sound insulation, and along the north side wall with the window there's going to be 100mm insulation. There is some insulation on that wall, but just doubling it up is going to make a huge amount of difference to retaining the heat in the room. So this is Marmite and Peanut, and they are a couple of stray kittens that arrived on our property, and I guess we've adopted them. How can you not? It's really cute to watch them play. The kids love them, and I'm sure you'll be seeing a lot more of them in videos to come. So one morning I set off to go get the insulation, and I forgot how thick the insulation is, especially this type of insulation, which is I guess you call it an eco insulation, whereby it's not fiberglass, it's not rock wool. All of the materials used are non-toxic, using cotton, hemp, jute, and there you go, you can see the label biofib. And so I had three lots of it, and I had to shove it in the car. Luckily I went on my own, and you can see it was all packed in there. Something we anticipated was that once we ripped out the electrics in that room, we would probably lose the electrics in the extension room or the lighting in the bathroom, because they were all kind of interlinked as a very old system. And Rebecca is the electrician in the house, so I'll let her explain what we plan to do.
First thing we're going to do is drill a hole in the ceiling of the office for the new socket wire to come in. And we're also going to drill a hole in the hallway to put up a temporary radiator. So we've got enough packets of wire to try and lay them all in one go, so we're not having to go back and forth. But we're going to have to make sure that we identify the wires when we first put them up. So I'll be down here and I'll say to you, pull on the office wire. So you're going to look for the red one that says sockets office, and you're going to pull that one, and then I'll mark that packet, and I'll say put on the bedroom sockets, and you'll do sockets bedroom 2. And from that one, right. The radiator is yellow, and that one's different colour wire, so it's easy.
If you want to know who did the last electrics, you're not going to read that, are you?
One and down
Me. We tried to do some filming when we were doing the electrics, but we were really concentrating on doing it right, and obviously it's a very can be unsafe to do it, and you've got to be checking that you've isolated the boxes and everything. So we didn't do a massive amount of filming, and it's very hard to explain what we're doing, but essentially we are rewiring the rooms, creating junction boxes, rewiring the lights, taking out the old wires. So the system, like I said, is very old, and a lot of the wires have been kind of daisy chained from light to light, socket to socket, and looped and all sorts, which is not legal anymore. There are some legalities around how you rewire your house, and I won't go into that, you can look it up, but having a new box which has lots of ways in which you can isolate sockets or lights, and making sure your cooker, all sort of things are rewired separately, is really important. And we were lucky to get a crash course in this a couple of years ago, and Rebecca, it kind of taps into her mathematics and physics side of her personality, and she's just great at being able to work it all out. My job, on the other hand, is to get into the tight cavities of the house in this particular area. This is the extension, which is not very high, and so at this point we had to try and pass the electrics through a conduit into an extension through a massive wall, and we managed to do it and get it into the bedroom. And so this is me rewiring a double socket. It's a temporary double socket, and the radiator back on into the bedroom where our boys are. Now it's just left to test them out to see if everything was working.
Cool. This is working. Two sockets working.
Now the light. Hey! Having an office has been low priority up until now. Rebecca is now hot desking at any table she can find. After a few days with bad posture at the kitchen table, she invested in what she thought was a standing desk from a popular Swedish manufacturer. Soon realising that she'd get a worse injury adjusting this desk every so often with an Allen key. I did some research and got in touch with FlexiSpot, a brand specialising in height adjustable sit-stand desks. Putting it together was easy, the instructions are clear and the parts and pieces are labelled well. This is the E7 Pro. Currently it's at its lowest price on their website this weekend. You can choose frame only, or you can add your own surface like this bamboo tabletop. The wires are easy to connect and are all colour coded. They can also be discreetly hidden. Now the best part, plug it in and adjust your height. Even though it was for Rebecca, I had to test it out myself to edit this video. Even when holding two monitors and a big desktop PC, it's so solid, and adjusting the height is super smooth. Once we've argued over who will take ownership of this FlexiSpot desk, it will certainly help with reducing back pain and weight gain as we transition into working longer hours at a computer. If you'd like to get the best deal on the E7 Pro and other FlexiSpot models, check out the links in the description below.
Hello, my mate. Hello, my mate. Come on, Peanut.
So Rebecca gave me a plan of how to rewire the house. We're going to have 4 double sockets, a radiator and some wall lights, as well as a light in the centre of the room. I just had to secure the remaining uprights, make sure they were straight and level, and I also tested out the insulation. This is the 100mm insulation, just seeing it fit in. But as you can hear with my voice, I've got a little bit of cold, so I took a couple of days off, and this is when our windows arrived, along with our fitter. And as you can see, the old windows came out, and the new windows went in, and you can see that next time. Bye.